Hey, so today I want to talk about a TV show called House. I'm sure some of you may have already heard about it, or some of you may haven't. But it's actually a show that ran in Fox from like early 2000s to like late 2000s. It has a total of 8 seasons, so it ran for 8 years. And now in this video, I'm going to talk about and review the first 3 seasons. If we talk about the pilot of House, what I like most about it is that it absolutely gets to the point. It opens like any other House episode as it open. They just get down to whatever the problem theirs has, and there's no explanation or introduction. That usually comes through a later episode in bits and pieces. We get to know why, how is this like that, how he operates, and what are his relationships with his other people, and what kind of a person is he. So in this regard, I like it House very much, that House have always been about one thing and one thing only, and everything is actually kind of secondary. And the thing is actually that House is based on Sherlock Holmes. It's sort of a premise that you can say in the elevator pitch. It's Sherlock Holmes in a hospital or in a medical drama. So that's how they pitch it. Usually there's a patient that comes along and House doesn't want to treat him or her, and eventually when he gets to treat her, then it's one problem after another and one problem after another. And like any other basic American TV show which runs on network television, it usually gets wrapped up in 40 minutes. So it's actually a very formulaic TV show in that respect, and I have been hesitant in recent years to watch this kind of shows because they get a lot of predictable. That's why I've stopped watching all the CW TV shows like Arrow and Flash, and I've also stopped watching other TV shows like Castle, because at the end of the day it just gets become too predictable. But for me, I am currently watching House in its season 5, and it has yet to become boring. It doesn't mean it doesn't have its ups and downs, but through the first 3 seasons, it is pretty tight knit. Now there's some potential spoilers here, but I'm gonna say, because the first 3 seasons you have the same people in the main cast. I know those actors are also appearing in later episodes and they are billed as main actors, but after 3 seasons they are not part of the House group where they are investigating and thinking about how to solve the case. They sort of become a secondary character, but they are getting a main billing, which is kind of odd. But nevertheless, from one through three, I think it's solid House. It's what you call in its prime. They are doing what they have done best, and they just went right at it. Some of the episodes that jump to mind is first season, episode 3 stories, where we get to know a lot of backstories, which I'm not gonna spoil, but it's an excellent episode. And season 2 episode, Euphoria part 1 and part 2, it's a brilliant episode. It hits all the right notes. It's absolutely brilliant, and this is almost must-watch TV. And after that, it's almost ups and downs. For me, House has always been intriguing because whenever something happens and seems like they are getting close to the solving that thing, and everybody's sighing relief, and then you look at the runtime and it's like halfway the episode, you know this is not gonna happen. It doesn't get solved. So in that way, it is predictable, but it always keeps you on your toes because through the score and the acting, it has always been a gripping show. So you will never get bored, I promise. Even if almost every episode plays out kind of in a similar way, but there's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of complexities. So you always remain drawn to this. And now I'm going to talk about 2 things, one good and one bad about this thing. And the first good thing is, of course, Hugh Laurie. Laurie absolutely shines in this role, and he is carrying this show. Now, when I think about TV shows, I always think about shows that have a main lead will have to carry this whole show. It's like as James Gandolfini in Soprano, or John Hamm in Mad Men. I know they have other people who help them, but these are the people who's actually carrying this show. And then Elizabeth Moss in Handmaid's Tale. These are all brilliant shows, but it doesn't work if the actor doesn't work. And Hugh Laurie just works fine, even though he's a prick and he's always behaving rudely, and you kind of like about him, and at a certain degree you have never kind of disgusted by him, or you always want to know why is this guy like this. So you never get totally repulsed or just turned off from him. It's just enough intrigue and just enough likability in this character that you keep drawn to this, and it just always remains in your wheelhouse. So yeah, So this show is absolutely brilliant in casting Hugh Laurie. He works in every episode. He never not works. He's always working, and in that way, I think it's a very fantastic thing. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is an arc that happens in season 2, which totally kind of put me off this show. It was an arc with his ex-wife, I think ex-girlfriend or something like that, and she comes back, and then there's an episode, and in like season 1 finale, and she's in like half of season 2, and let me tell you, it's just absolutely the worst for me. I couldn't tolerate it, and House just doesn't work with love interest. I've always thought about that he might work as an independent character, and he's a sort of a loner, and he's always been preaching that. But besides than that, I think when you put him into a relationship, it's kind of weird, and that arc did not work. So for now, I'm going to say, if you want to check House season 1 through 3, it's an absolutely brilliant. And after those seasons, I'm going to review those two, and they have already changed up a lot of things, so I'm going to talk about it in a later episode. But if you just want to be on films and you just want to keep testing, I think season 1 is an absolute brilliant of a season, and it gives a total introduction of what kind of a ride you are on, and it just doesn't get boring or any kind of uninteresting. It just sort of stays that way, which can be a good thing or a bad thing on how you look at it. But for me, it's an absolute brilliant show. Thank you.